Imagine waking up to a world where the grocery store shelves are stripped bare and the price of a single bag of fertilizer has skyrocketed beyond what any normal family can afford. For most people, that's a nightmare. But for the gardener who knows the secrets of the earth itself, it's just another Tuesday. Today, I am going to pull back the curtain on a truth the multi-billion-dollar fertilizer industry hopes you never find out. Your soil isn't empty, it's just locked, and the keys aren't found in a plastic jug of blue liquid. I am going to show you 5 hidden minerals, often ignored or stepped over, that can triple your harvest while actually making your garden easier to manage as you get older. Before we dive into these geological gold mines, I want to hear from you. We are building a community of self-sufficient growers here. So tell me in the comments, where in the world are you watching from, and what is the #1 crop you are determined to grow this year? By the time we finish today, you'll know exactly how to source these natural boosters for pennies on the dollar, or even for free, and how to apply them so you never have to haul heavy bags of chemicals again. I am talking about ancient wisdom that focuses on feeding the soil so the soil can feed you for decades. Stick around until the end because the 5th mineral we're going to discuss is something most people throw away every single week, yet it contains a specific trace element that can literally wake up a dying fruit tree in a single season. We live in a time of incredible fragility. Our modern food system relies on a just-in-time delivery model that can be disrupted by a fuel spike, a labor strike, or a distant conflict. If you're over 35, or perhaps a senior looking at your backyard and wondering how you'll keep it going when your back starts to protest, the chemical treadmill of modern gardening is your worst enemy. My grandmother didn't have a garden center down the street during the lean years of the mid-20th century. She had a rock pile, a fireplace, and a deep understanding of what the mountainside provided. She knew that plants don't just need nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium. They need the complex blood of the earth itself. The tragedy of modern gardening is that we've been taught to treat our soil like a drug addict, constantly needing another hit of synthetic fertilizer just to produce a decent tomato. But those chemicals kill the very microbes that make gardening easy. When you use the minerals I'm about to show you, you're not just feeding a plant, you're building a permanent battery in your soil. I've seen 80-year-old gardeners who can barely walk out to their plots, yet they produce more food than a young man with a tiller because they spent years depositing these minerals into the ground. In a moment, I am going to show you a specific type of green rock that acts like a slow-release multivitamin for your vegetables, lasting for up to 10 years with a single application. But first, we need to understand why the NPK numbers on the front of a fertilizer bag are often a distraction from the real minerals your body is actually craving when you eat a homegrown carrot. We aren't just growing calories, we are growing survival. And survival requires a foundation that won't wash away in the next rainstorm. The first hidden mineral we need to talk about is something the old-timers used to call the fat of the land. But today you'll find it labeled as green sand. If you've ever looked at your soil and felt it was tired, maybe it's too sandy and loses water instantly, or maybe it's heavy clay that turns into a brick in the summer. Green sand is the ancient solution you've been looking for. This isn't something cooked up in a lab. It is actually a sedimentary deposit from the ocean floor that is millions of years old. It's primarily made of a mineral called glauconite, and it is packed with iron, magnesium, and about 30 other trace minerals that modern fertilizers completely ignore. For the senior gardener or the lazy gardener, green sand is a dream come true because you don't have to worry about burning your plants. You can't really mess this up. Unlike chemical nitrogen that can kill a plant if you use too much, green sand is gentle. It breaks down incredibly slowly. In fact, one application can continue to mineralize your soil for up to a decade. Imagine that, doing the work once and reaping the rewards for the next 10 years. It's the ultimate plant once philosophy applied to soil health. Because it's a natural marine deposit, it also helps with water retention. If you're tired of standing out in the heat with a hose every evening, adding this mineral helps your soil hold on to moisture like a sponge, giving you a massive safety net during a dry spell or a heat wave. The beauty of green sand lies in the flavor and the nutrition of the harvest. Have you ever noticed how a store-bought tomato tastes like crunchy water? That's because it was grown in soil depleted of these deep-sea minerals. When you reintroduce glauconite, your plants can synthesize more complex sugars and vitamins. You'll notice your kale is deeper green and your peppers have a sweetness you didn't think was possible. It's not magic. It's just giving the plant the full periodic table it was designed to eat. Stick with me, because while green sand is the slow and steady foundation, the next mineral is the energy drink of the geological world. And it's likely sitting in a pile at a local construction site or quarry near your house right now. The second mineral is perhaps the most misunderstood and underutilized tool in the survival gardener's kit: rock dust, specifically basalt. This is often a byproduct of stone crushing, and because it's a waste product, it is frequently the cheapest way to transform your land. While green sand is about slow stability, basalt rock dust is about remineralization. Think of it this way: our topsoil has been farmed, rained on, and depleted for centuries. We have literally washed the life out of the dirt. By adding finely ground volcanic rock, you are essentially resetting your soil to its volcanic, fertile beginnings, like the soil found on the slopes of a volcano where plants grow with terrifying vigor. For those of us who want a garden that thrives with minimal effort, basalt is a secret weapon against pests and disease. When a plant has access to the soluble silicon found in rock dust, it actually builds thicker, tougher cell walls. It's like giving your plants a suit of armor. When a piercing insect like an aphid or a beetle tries to take a bite, they find the leaf is too tough to chew. This means no more spraying toxic pesticides and no more spending your afternoons hunting for bugs. You're letting geology do the pest control for you. This is the definition of lazy gardening: investing in the soil structure so the environment manages itself. Applying it is as simple as dusting your beds like you're powdered sugaring a cake. You don't even need to till it in. The rain and the earthworms will do that work for you. I've seen community gardens in urban areas where the soil was basically dead-filled dirt turn into lush jungles in just 2 seasons after a heavy application of crushed basalt. If you're worried about the future of our food supply, having a bag of this tucked away or knowing which local quarry has a finds pile is better than having gold in the bank. If this is helping you plan your own survival garden and giving you ideas for a lower maintenance backyard, tap that like button so more people can discover these forgotten methods. Coming up next, we're going to talk about a mineral that acts as a magnet for nutrients, making sure that every drop of rain and every bit of compost you use stays exactly where your plants can reach it. The third hidden mineral on our list is one that sounds a bit like a sci-fi invention, but it is actually a naturally occurring volcanic glass called zeolite. If you've ever felt frustrated that you re-watering and fertilizing your plants only for the nutrients to wash away with the first heavy rain, zeolite is your solution. Scientists call it a molecular sieve, but I like to think of it as a microscopic honeycomb that acts like a battery for your soil. It has a unique honeycomb structure and a negative magnetic charge that literally grabs onto nutrients like nitrogen and potassium, holding them in place so they don't leach into the groundwater. For the senior gardener who wants to work smarter, not harder, zeolite is a game changer for water management. It can hold up to 60% of its weight in water. When you mix this into your garden beds, or even your potted plants on the porch, you are creating a permanent reservoir at the root level. This means you can skip a day of watering, or even 3, without seeing that dreaded wilt in your tomatoes. It's the ultimate insurance policy against a forgotten hose or a sudden heat wave. Because it doesn't break down over time, once you add it to your soil, it stays there forever, working for you year after year. I remember talking to an old farmer who survived the Dust Bowl years, and he used to say that the secret to a garden that lasts is the hold. He didn't know the word zeolite, but he understood that some soils have the power to keep what they are given while others just let it slip through their fingers. By adding this mineral, you are giving your soil the hold. You're ensuring that when you do put down compost or mulch, those nutrients stay right where your plants can reach them. It's especially helpful for lazy gardening because it regulates the soil environment for you, buffering against pH swings and preventing the salt buildup that often kills plants in traditional chemical systems. Now, we move on to the fourth mineral, and this one is a bit of a controversial forgotten secret that many commercial fertilizer brands won't mention because they can patent it: soft rock phosphate. Now, don't confuse this with the hard phosphate used in industrial farming, which is often treated with acid. Soft rock phosphate, or colloidal phosphate, is a natural clay deposit that is rich in phosphorus and calcium. If you want a harvest forever garden, You need to understand that phosphorus is the engine of flowering and fruiting. Without it, you get a beautiful green plant with absolutely no food on it. This is the mineral that turns a hobby garden into a survival garden. During times of famine or food shortages, you aren't looking for pretty leaves. You're looking for heavy clusters of tomatoes, big potatoes, and ears of corn. Soft rock phosphate provides that long-term fuel. It's like a slow-burning log on a fire rather than a flash of paper. It releases its nutrients over 3 to 5 years. For a senior gardener, this is perfect because you can apply it once every several years and rest easy knowing your fruit trees and perennial berry bushes have the phosphorus they need to produce a massive crop every single summer. But there is a lore element to this mineral as well. Ancient civilizations often settled near deposits of these phosphatic rocks because they noticed the wild grains grew twice as tall there. It's one of those ancient wisdom secrets that was nearly erased when the world moved to fast-acting, water-soluble chemicals. When you use the soft rock version, you're also inviting beneficial fungi, like mycorrhizae, to partner with your plants. These fungi unlock the rock and trade the minerals to the plant in exchange for sugar. It's a beautiful, natural partnership that keeps your garden thriving with zero chemical intervention. Stick with me, because next we are going to reveal the fifth mineral, the one you are probably throwing in the trash right now, which contains the secret element that can bring a dying garden back to life. The fifth mineral is one that will likely make you slap your forehead because you've probably spent your whole life paying the city to haul it away. I'm talking about wood ash, but specifically, the concentrated mineral remains of hardwood. In the world of forgotten gardening wisdom, wood ash was known as gray gold. When you burn wood, the nitrogen and sulfur go up in smoke. But what remains in that delicate gray powder is a concentrated cocktail of every single mineral that tree spent 50 or 100 years pulling out of the deep earth. It is incredibly rich in calcium, which prevents blossom end rot in tomatoes, and potassium, which is the mineral responsible for moving water and nutrients through the plant's veins. For a senior gardener, this is the ultimate lazy booster because it's a byproduct of keeping your home warm or having a backyard fire. However, you have to use it with respect. Because it is highly alkaline, it acts like a fast-acting lime. If you have blueberry-style soil that is very acidic, wood ash is a miracle. It neutralizes the acid and unlocks nutrients that were previously frozen in the soil. But a word of caution, never use ash from treated lumber, painted wood, or charcoal briquettes, as these contain chemicals you don't want near your food. Also, avoid using it around acid-loving plants like azaleas or potatoes, as it can encourage potato scab. The secret element hidden in wood ash that I teased earlier is boron. Most people have never heard of it, but boron is the traffic cop of the plant world. Without a tiny trace of it, plants can't move sugars from their leaves down to their fruits or roots. If you've ever had a fruit tree that flowers beautifully but the fruit falls off before it's ripe, or a hollow heart in your root vegetables, you likely have a boron deficiency. A light dusting of wood ash provides that crucial trace element that wakes up the tree's ability to actually finish the job and give you a harvest. Just remember, a little goes a long way. Think of it as a seasoning for your soil, not the main course. Now that we've covered these 5 powerhouses, green sand, basalt, zeolite, soft rock phosphate, and wood ash, you might be wondering how to manage all of this without feeling like a geologist. This is where the lazy gardening strategy really shines. You don't need to apply all of these every month. In fact, for a senior-friendly garden, I recommend a mineral sandwich approach. Once a year, or even once every 2 years, you layer these minerals down, cover them with a thin layer of compost, and then top it all off with a thick mulch of straw or wood chips. By layering your minerals this way, you are mimicking the floor of an ancient forest. You recreating a slow drip system where the biology in the soil, the worms, and the fungi does the heavy lifting for you. You don't need to bend over and dig these into the dirt. Digging actually hurts the soil structure and your back. Just let the rain wash the minerals down to the roots. This method creates a famine-proof garden. Because these minerals are stones, they don't evaporate. They don't wash away like the blue liquids sold in stores. They stay in your soil bank account until your plants are hungry enough to draw them out. Imagine the peace of mind that comes from knowing your soil is so nutrient-dense that even if you couldn't get to the store for a year, your garden would keep producing. We are moving away from a fragile garden that dies the moment you stop pampering it, and moving toward a resilient garden that grows stronger with age. In a moment, I am going to tell you the story of a forgotten garden in Europe that was abandoned for 40 years but was found still producing massive mineral-rich fruit because of the geological foundation the original owners laid down. Stick with me, because this story changes everything you think you know about annual gardening. There is a story often whispered in the permaculture circles about an old monastery garden in the foothills of the Alps that was rediscovered after being abandoned during the mid-20th century. When researchers finally cleared away the brambles 40 years later, they found something miraculous. The fruit trees and perennial vegetables weren't just surviving, they were thriving. They were producing fruit that was smaller than what you see in a supermarket, but it was incredibly dense, packed with a flavor so intense it was almost spicy. When they tested the soil, they didn't find traces of modern fertilizers. Instead, they found deep layers of crushed local stone and centuries of hearth ash. The monks hadn't just planted trees, they had fed the stones. This is the ultimate lesson for anyone wanting to build a garden that feeds their grandchildren. By focusing on these 5 hidden minerals, you are stepping out of the cycle of planned obsolescence that dominates modern agriculture. Most fertilizer companies want your garden to be hungry again in 2 weeks, so you have to buy another bag. But when you use basalt or soft rock phosphate, you are building a legacy. You are creating a perennial soil that mirrors those ancient monastery gardens. For a senior gardener, this is the greatest gift you can give yourself. A garden that requires less input from you every year while providing more output. If you are worried about the future, remember that food security is not about having a basement full of canned goods, though that helps. True food security is having a backyard where the dirt itself is a living, mineral-rich pantry. It's about knowing that if the supply chains break or the prices double, your soil has the savings account to keep producing nutrient-dense food for your family. You are moving from being a consumer of garden products to being a steward of geological wealth. It's a shift in mindset from how do I grow a tomato today to how do I build a garden that never stops. If you forget everything else we talked about today, remember this. The secret to a triple harvest isn't found in a laboratory. It's found in the rocks and the ancient wisdom of those who came before us. Plant your long-living perennials. Mix in these heavy-hitting minerals like green sand and zeolite, and design your garden so that your future self, even with a sore back or limited time, can still harvest a bounty. You don't need to be a scientist to do this. You just need to stop fighting nature and start partnering with the Earth's own building blocks. Your first step today is simple. Don't go out and buy a dozen different things. Instead, find out if there is a local quarry or a landscaping supply store near you that carries basalt fines or rock dust. Often, they have piles of this stuff sitting around that they sell you for a fraction of the price of branded fertilizer. Start with one bed. Dust it with that gray gold, cover it with mulch, and watch what happens. You'll see a vibrance in your plants that no chemical spray can ever replicate. I want to thank you for being part of this journey towards self-sufficiency. If this video gave you a new way to look at your dirt, please hit that like button and subscribe so you don't miss our next deep dive into survival gardening. Now, I want to hear from you. Which one of these 5 minerals are you going to try first, and what country are you watching from? I read every single comment, and I love seeing this global community grow. Also, if you want me to do a video on the 10 medicinal weeds hiding in your lawn that most people pull up by mistake, comment the word medicinal down below. Until next time, keep growing, keep learning, and remember, the best time to mineralize your soil was 10 years ago, but the second best time is today.